In Google Analytics 4, there are two types of acquisition reports, traffic acquisition and user acquisition. The traffic acquisition report provides insights into the sources and campaigns that bring new and returning visitors to your website or application. On the other side, the user acquisition report helps you understand the sources and campaigns that bring new users to your website or application for the first time. Both reports can help you determine where your new users are coming from, which campaigns are most successful in driving traffic to your website, and which channels are most effective. So let's start with the acquisition overview. Here you will see a bunch of charts. First, we have the number of users and new users performance trends. And again, just like we saw in the report snapshot, we can see the users in the last 30 days and by top country. You'll also see your top performing traffic sources for both session and first user. And if you have connected Google Ads and the Google Search Console to Google Analytics, then you will see some data related to those campaigns as well. Then there will be several additional widgets right here, like customer lifetime value. And that's everything on the overview side, and there's not much you can do here. So let's navigate to the user acquisition report. Here you will see a few charts and a table with more detailed information. The default dimension in this report is the first user default channel grouping, which means that it displays the traffic sources that brought visitors to the website for the first time. Even if a visitor initially comes to the website from, let's say, Instagram ads, but later returns through a Google Ads campaign, the second Google Ads session will still be attributed to the Instagram ads because it was the first user default channel grouping. But this is not the case with the traffic acquisition report, which we'll be discussing in a couple of minutes. Also, if you click here and see all the dimensions, you'll notice all the dimensions here starts with first. You can also click on this first user source medium to view the performance of the sources and mediums like Google CPC, Google Organic, etc. And to add a secondary dimension here, you need to click on this plus icon. Let's say you want to track Google Ads performance for different regions. Then you can add secondary dimensions from geography, country. And now you can see two dimensions and their performances. To filter this out to any specific value, for example, if you're only interested in tracking performance for the United States region, then you can type here United States. Or you can use this filter section at the top as well to create a segment of the region contains the United States. So that's the way to do that. All right. Then we have all these metrics here. First, we have this new users column to track the total number of new users, and then the engagement sessions to measure the number of sessions that lasted longer than 10 seconds, had a conversion event, or had 2 or more screens or page views. Moving further, we have this engagement rate, which is nothing but the percentage of sessions that were engaged sessions. And for you to know, the bounce rate is the opposite of the engagement rate, meaning it's the percentage of sessions that were not engaged sessions. And then we have the number of engaged sessions per user, like we can see here 1.22, 1.19, etc. Then we have average engagement time, which is the average length of time user interacted with the website or application. In the event count column, you have the option to choose any event from this dropdown and see the performance against the dimensions. So you can create all these events in the Google Tag Manager and pass these events to the GA4, and then you can track the performance of all these events, again different dimensions. And then we have this conversion column. All the events that you have marked as conversion will appear here, like purchases, subscription, or lead. And then on the right side, you can see the total value or revenue of that specific conversion. Like if I click on purchase from this conversion dropdown, then I can track the purchases and revenue from each of these channels. To expand the number of rows, you can either click on this arrow or change this row per page number from here. And finally, to customize this report, we need to click on this pencil icon. We can't see that here because we are in the demo account, but we can move to our own GA4 property, which we created earlier. And here we can see this pencil icon. We need to click here to customize the report. So if I click here, I can see the customize report option. So I have report data, report filter, charts, report template, and summary cards. So I have an option to change the existing report or create a new one from here. For example, let's say I click on dimensions and I can see all the dimensions here, which is there in the report table, but I can add a new dimension from here as well. Let's say I add gender or interest, so I can do that from here as well. Or let's say I remove one of these, first use a Google Ads group name, so I can do that as well. I can click on apply and save this either to a new report or the current report. And similarly, I can do this for metric as well. Let's say I can't see the bounce rate here, so I can go to add metric and search for bounce rate from this dropdown, and then I can add this bounce rate from here and then click on apply. Or you can also remove some of the metrics which is not relevant to your business, or click a new one or a customized metric directly from here. So you can customize all this report through this customization section, and you can add or remove any specific dimension or metric. Or you can also add a filter from here as well. Let's say you're interested in looking at the information just for a specific reason, specific interest, or specific gender demographic. You can do that directly from here. And if I go back, so I can change these two cards as well. So let's say I'm not interested in looking at this chart report. So I can do that to scatter chart, or I can do that to bar chart as well, and click on apply. So it will change to bar chart. And then I have an option to change this secondary bar chart as well. Let's say I make it line chart. So I can do this as per my own preference. And then we have these summary cards. So I can go here and edit these summary cards. So if I'm interested in looking at something else, change the visualization or look at a different metric, then I can choose that as well. So these charts and these tables that you are seeing in the default user acquisition report is all customizable, and we can just look at this data and just edit or customize directly from here. Then I click on save and I can create a new report, or I can do that to the current report. For example, let's say I click on save a new report and I can just give it a name, user acquisition, and let's say test 1. So I can just look at this report and click on save, and then I can have a look on the dashboard. You can see how it looks on the UI side. Let's go to the report section, and within the lifecycle we can see the new report that we created isn't here. So to add that report, you need to click on this library section here. We can see all the collection here, and we can see our new report created, user acquisition test 1. And to add this to this acquisition section, we just need to edit this existing collection. So from here, edit collection, we can see all these detailed reports. So from here we can add this user acquisition test 1 to this acquisition and click on save to the current collection. So if you go back, we can now see our new customized report within the acquisition section of lifecycle collection. So that's the way to do it, and you can just create your own dashboards and create your own customized reports and just look at your own lifecycle collection in your own way. And to remove this, we can just go back to the edit collection and just click on remove this section. All right, so that's on the user acquisition side. Let's move to the traffic acquisition. If you note here, the dimension in this report starts with session rather than first user, as we saw on the user report. So if a visitor arrives at your website for the first time through Google Ads, for example, it will be displayed in the Google CPC. But if the subsequent sessions arrive from other traffic sources, then they will be added in one of these dimensions. The users in the user report refers to unique visitors or individuals who have visited your website. But here, the session refers to visits or the total number of times a person has accessed your website. So let's move to all these dimensions and metrics now. So we can see the same thing here as well. So we have different dimensions. We can change that from here. Let's say you're not interested in looking at the channel grouping. You can change this to source, medium as well. And similarly, we have an option to change this to campaign, source, platform, source, or medium. So we can see all these metrics performance against Google Organic, direct Google CPC, and these values. And just like we saw in the user acquisition report, we have these two charts and all these metrics, user sessions and engaged sessions. And we can also change the events from here, see different events performances. We can change the conversion event from here as well, like if you want to track the performance for purchase or subscription. So all these things can be done here, and we do have an option to customize this report. If I go back to my own property, this is GA4 property. If I go back to the own property, I can see that we do have an option to customize this report from this pencil icon. And then we have this traffic acquisition, which is nothing but a different dimension. So now here we are looking at session, source, medium, and this is just on the landing page side. So this is a customized report. We can create a more customized report as well, as we just saw. So we can just, instead of using session source, we're using landing page performance here. So that's on the acquisition side. And now let's move to the engagement reports.